All right, friends, welcome back to On Location. And today I'm so excited to be here. We're in Terrace, British Columbia in northern BC. Now, if you're driving from Vancouver, it takes about 15 hours, but I took a flight. I'm sure the drive would be absolutely lovely. And I just got in yesterday and I'm getting the tour of the town. Joining me right now is the lovely and talented Catherine Hart, who was very gracious to welcome us to her beautiful and stunning home. And we're surrounded by her art. Catherine, thank you so much for welcoming us.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I know I'm like a month late. You just had an exhibit.
I did.
At the Terrace Art Gallery. This is your piece right behind. And not only do you paint, you're also a sculptor. So tell us about the exhibit. What was the inspiration behind the exhibit?
Well, I was inspired by something that really just made me furious, actually. And it was how women's rights were being taken away, especially in the United States. And I saw that happening at the same time that the trad wife aesthetic on social media was becoming really popular. And women were going on being these traditional wives and sort of being subservient to men. And I thought that's such a hypocritical thing. And it just irritated me so much because women's rights have been really hard fought, hard won here. And so I wanted to do this exhibit to demonstrate how the rights that we fought for could easily be taken away.
So true. I'm so glad you were inspired by that. I was reading a very interesting statistic which blew me away. The fact that it was not even 50 years ago in Canada that women couldn't, I believe, don't quote me on this, I think it was around 50 years ago that women couldn't open a bank account.
Yes.
Couldn't get a mortgage, couldn't rent an apartment.
That's true. And they could have their husbands co-sign.
Yeah.
And it was 1960 was the year that Indigenous women could vote without losing their status. It's in a very close history, right? It's not that far away.
No.
And it's already things are being taken away. So my show was a cautionary tale to the younger generation because this generation that are in high school right now, they're the first generation where their women's enjoyed all rights in Canada, pretty much. And I wanted them to be aware that that wasn't always the case. Like my grandmother couldn't go into a bar by herself. My mother couldn't get a credit card by herself. It's, not too long ago that these things happened. But the generation that's in high school now, they just wouldn't even occur to them that that would happen. So.
I'm so glad. And we were talking off camera a little bit about, I noticed this beautiful color that you're wearing and also part of your exhibit, off camera we have here, which we'll show you later on, this beautiful bird cage. It makes me think a little bit of Maya Angelou.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the cage bird.
Yes. Classic symbol of female, subservience and, yeah. I made the cage out of whisks and the tarpan. All my objects are related to domestic work, and buttons were a real theme in my exhibit. Did your grandmother or mother have a jar of buttons when you were growing up from sewing?
My grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, the symbol of a button jar was huge because buttons represented unpaid labor that women do. And they sew for generations. They look after generations. And then when they're elderly, all they have left is a jar of buttons and maybe a set of china. But often women are in poverty because their husbands have left them or they've spent their earning years raising children. So our society doesn't value that work, that unpaid labor. So buttons became the symbol of the unpaid labor that women do. And buttons are huge in my exhibit. I actually had a button jar at the end when people left the gallery and a little bowl of buttons. And the sign said, put a button in this jar and remember a matriarch that labored for you. And by the end of the exhibit, there was over 400 buttons.
Wow.
And people got very emotional doing that. The act of putting a button in the jar.
Doing something and thinking, and they're putting energy. And it's almost like that's experiential art.
Yes.
You know, so it's like you have put the intention, but you're also allowing people to maybe have a conversation later on with their friends. So it's not just them coming to your exhibit. When you do something as simple as that, it stays with you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Hart, and these are pieces from my exhibit called Domestic Fetish that was shown in Terrace, BC in June. This is called Obedience, and this is the first sculpture that people see when they came in the exhibit. And what she's doing is she's blissfully vacuuming away. She doesn't have a head. She has no brain because she's being obedient. And she's vacuuming up all of these rights, rape laws, anti-discrimination, employment rights, property rights, the right to vote, domestic violence laws, the right to divorce, abortion rights, political representation, free childcare. There's so many rights. And she's just vacuuming them up because that's what the trad wife aesthetic does, is it represents women without power. And without these laws, women have no power. The trad wife is blissfully sewing on her Singer sewing machine, and she's making a cute little apron. And you'll notice she's making the apron out of these squares of fabric that she has taken from the uniforms here. The firefighter uniform has a hole in it. The surgeon's outfit and the little doctor's smock has a hole in it. So it represents her. These are traditional jobs that women were not allowed to have. So the devolution represents the trad wife, idea that women should work at home, and it's devaluing all the women that do these jobs and the right to do these jobs.
Okay, would you like to explain to us what's happening with the phone over there with the buttons?
The phone is when the trad wife has an absolute breakdown because she realizes that all the rights that she gave away are not protecting her anymore. She's alone in the world and she's penniless because there aren't laws protecting her. There aren't any divorce laws, there aren't any child support laws, there aren't any abuse laws, sexual assault laws. So she's alone in the world. And this is how I symbolized the breakdown. That's my scream. And I wanted to make it colorful with the buttons to make it appealing, but you can tell from that scream that that is a woman that has no power. And when you realize you have no power, that's a dark place to be. And then she sits down to her meal, and it symbolizes the fact that in a society that doesn't value women's work, women that choose to raise their children at home are often left penniless in their older years when they retire. So all she has is a set of china, which women have after a lifetime of serving children, and a button jar. So I show her eating her buttons, which is the only thing she has left after her lifetime of raising children.
So let's get back to your exhibit, because I really love how not only you have these beautiful art pieces, I'd love to talk about what's back here, but the symbolism of these kitchen utensils, and you have this beautiful bird, but that's perhaps lost its voice. So how many pieces did you create in total, and how long did it take you? Did you know originally that you're going to have these sculptures as well as paint? Like, how did this come about?
It sort of came about as I created. I think I have 9 sculptures, and it's 21 pieces in total. And I think I have 11 paintings, and so 10 sculptures or something like that. I should know that. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks since I had my exhibit.
And you've also sold quite a few pieces. So, of course, we have to focus on the success too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have had this exhibit if I was living in a city. Just the experience of living in Terrace, how it happened was I was invited to go to a studio group. And in Terrace, there's these studio groups where women or men get together and create art together in somebody's home. And it was a weekly one. And I would go in and tell the other women in the group about my art, and they were so supportive. Like, these are women that in the 70s fought for women's rights. So it meant a lot to them because they see what's happening. So I had so much support from other female artists in town, and they just kept encouraging me. And I think that support was huge because I just started doing art seriously last year. This is my first exhibit.
Did you go to school?
I didn't go to art school. I'm self-taught, so I know.
Okay, high five. Hello, what?
Thank you. Yeah.
Catherine,
Well,
that's amazing. That's
thank you.
remarkable. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal, yeah.
I hope you like really take that in because you know what I like? I can tell you're thinking out of the box. You're not limiting yourself. Like even we'll show afterwards this piece and how, you have these buttons on this phone and it's this old phone and it's on this, I'd like to go over the meaning behind each piece that you created, but it doesn't look crafty. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like it doesn't look like hobbyist art. Like, I can see this. I can see that in here. So were you playing with colors before? Like
colors are important. I wanted orange because I wanted it to be a cautionary tale. Like, warning, this could happen again. We could lose our rights. And it is happening in the United States. And I used all domestic materials like the tart pan. I used a Electrolux vacuum cleaner in one of my sculptures and a dressmaker's dummy. And the amount of people were like, oh, my mom had that or my grandma had that. People remember vacuum cleaners for some reason. And I have a little sewing machine. So all the object I used in the found object sculpture is, they're all domestic related. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
A bit, but I'm so curious because I can also hear underneath what you're saying. I can hear this is a topic that really moves you. So I want to dig a little bit deeper and talk about that. Like, what does that mean to you to talk about women's rights?
It's everything. Everything. Oh boy, that's a big question. I just feel like now that in social media and people are sharing like the division of labor in households and how unfair it is, it's just so apparent how the patriarchy has done so much damage to us. And I just had to do an art show that spoke to the women of my generation, my mom's generation, how they must have suffered under the patriarchy even more than I did. And how hard it must have been to sacrifice everything to raise a family and then have that work just mean nothing. That's why the buttons are the litter in the birdcage, because they're meaningless. They have no value. So women's domestic labor has no value in our society. And the trad wives are glamorizing it, fetishizing it, and just, I don't even know how to articulate how angry that makes me.
Was there an instance that moved you and you said, that's it? I need to say something. I have a voice. I need to use my voice to express through art. Or like, when did you wake up? What made you go, you know what? I need to
say something?
Yeah, I have to speak up, but through art.
I think it was when they overturned Roe versus Wade. And I just thought that the reason I have the life I have is because there are laws in place protecting women. Because I left my first husband who was abusive, and I was able to, the Canadian government makes sure that women with people with children have child support, so they're not afraid to leave. It's still very difficult, but there are laws, child support, and that was only, I think, 1994, child support was national in Canada. So it's very recent. In the last 30 years that women may not have left an abusive relationship because they wouldn't have had any financial protection, right? So the laws are so important. That's what enraged me, is the laws being taken away, because the laws are the only thing keeping women from being absolutely, well, I'm generalizing, but laws protect women. They do, and we need them.
Thank you for sharing that. Tell me about your work with the Terrace Art Gallery.
Oh, I just started, it's a year ago actually, and I started volunteering, and I just was obsessed and wanted to spend every minute down there, because it's just great to be surrounded by artists and artistic people. They're the best. And then when I was encouraged to do my show, I applied and I actually got in, and I was shocked, and then I was scared. It's like, oh no. And I went on the board, and as a board member, it's been really fun. Like just to imagine the future of the art gallery in Terrace. It's becoming really busy because Terrace is like growing fast. And you might not notice that because you're from Vancouver, but Terrace is really, it's growing. And I'm just so excited the direction the Terrace Art Gallery can go. It's going to be fun. I'm excited about it. I just love it.
Amazing. Now, were you born in Terrace? Have you always lived here?
No, I've been here for, since 97. I don't know how many years that is. 25? No, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. And a lot of my friends are artists, but there's a real grassroots kind of arts community in Terrace. And I think that's the reason that I felt I could have an art gallery or an exhibit, is it seemed possible here in Terrace. I think if you're in a big city, it would seem impossible. It's not, though. I mean, I should encourage people, if you have something that really gets under your skin, that enrages you, make art. And you can make art with, like I did, found art objects. Like it's just, I encourage people to apply to galleries and get in, because it is a really satisfying to see the reaction that my show got, to see women coming up to me with tears in their eyes, men coming up to me. It's just a beautiful, art is amazing. And Terrace is a great town to be an artist in.
What were you doing before you got involved with the Terrace Art Gallery, before you started painting?
It's not a happy story. I've been fighting breast cancer for 3 years. I'm fine now, but I had HER triple positive breast cancer, so I've been undergoing lots of surgeries and lots of treatment, and I'm great now. Just had my last surgery, so I'm wonderful. But I wasn't really working, and I think that gave me a lot of time to really, maybe that's where the rage came from. But it gave me a lot of time to think about my purpose in the world. And time is short. Like if I'm not going to try for an exhibit now, when? Right? It's do it now. Because if I failed at it and it was a total flop, that's the process of it. People are thirsty for art that's meaningful. They really are. I feel like these times, especially when the world is in chaos, people are really looking for meaning in things. They want, I think people are over frivolity. How would you say that?
Frivolity. Yeah.
And they're looking for deeper meaning in things. I saw that.
But I also hear your passion, because there's that. But when someone has the personal connection, when something really, because I can feel, like sitting down here with you, I can feel that what you're saying, it means something to you.
Oh, yeah.
And it hits a nerve, and you wanted to say something.
It's very deeply personal.
Yeah.
Deeply personal.
What made you move? What made you leave? I know you were saying that you were living in North Van before.
I was born there, but I left an abusive relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my parents were living here at the time, so I came with my 6-week-old baby and my 2-year-old daughter, and I landed in Terrace, and I was like, what have I done? What have I done? Because this is remote. I thought this was living here. I don't feel like it's remote, but it's pretty remote. So and I never left. And I raised my children here, and now my daughter's pregnant. She's going to have a baby.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And she's married. Her husband lives here. And yeah, it's just raising children here. They were involved in sports and music. And it's just, I cannot say enough about how much I love Terrace. Like, we walk our dog, and every day I say to my husband, oh, I love it here.
What are winters like here? What do you get up to?
Ooh, I do a lot. When there's enough snow, I do cross-country skiing and snowshoeing.
Okay.
Love it. And I don't do as much downhill, but Shames Mountain is notorious, or well-known for its backcountry. They have this bowl, so backcountry is really accessible there. And I wish I was that cool, but I'm not a backcountry skier. And what else do I do? I skate sometimes at the arena. Yeah, mostly ski and snowshoe. When there's snow, because we're in the rainforest, so it's not always, when we do get snow, we get snow. But sometimes we don't get it till December.
Okay, really? Wow. I would think, like, being up here, it would be Like snow, snow, snow?
No, I wish, but no.
Okay, all right. Tell me, what are your guys' hopes for art in Terrace and Terrace Art Gallery, and how to support local young artists to, perhaps get their art out there?
Well, we have a real connection to the Frida Diesling School of Art, which is at the college, and that's a Indigenous art school. So every year the graduates have a show in our gallery, and it's only Frida Diesling students.
Okay.
It's amazing. Jamie Davis probably had her stuff in there.
Okay.
She sells in the gallery too. And we have school groups that come into the gallery and tour the shows. Every show that we have a connection to the high schools. We have many, I don't even know how many right now, maybe 3 or 4, maybe more, kids art camps going on right now in the summer. Our summer students run them, and we have one that runs all year. Patrick Burgomaster, he's an illustrator, and he has a weekly group that comes in and he teaches art to them. So we have a lot of youth programs, and we have a lot of things that we want to do in the future.
That's wonderful. Yeah. What are your hopes where would you like to see it go, or at least in the next year?
For the art gallery, I'd like to see a lot more programming. I'm working with somebody right now to do a live model sketching on a regular basis, so you can just drop in and sketch from a live model. And I have another idea that's from another board member, Victor. I don't speak French, but it's something about the night, and it's a huge art exhibit that happens in the winter. Have you heard of that?
In Montreal?
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Do you know that? I forget the name of it.
Night is called Nuit, and winter would be d'hiver.
But it's Nuit something. And it's an outdoor art show that happens in the winter. I'd love to do that. I just heard that at the last meeting, so it's not for sure anything, but I would love to do more things like that, more art outside.
And get people involved, get people going to things, and it builds community and inspires people to also get involved, to see, just like how you did, because you never know, someone could hear you, whether a young person or, someone who is a new resident. That's how people get inspired.
When you said that, it reminded me of a woman that is a matriarch in our community, and she came up to me, and she, in the 70s, she's an activist, and all she said to me is, "It just takes one person, Catherine, one person," and it does. One person with an idea. That's all it takes. And
you never know who may have needed to hear what you have to say with your exhibit.
Oh yeah.
You just don't know who may be in a situation, what woman would be in a situation that someone could even be talking about your exhibit. And that's how, through entertainment like Hollywood and movies and plays and art and poems, that's why I feel like art is so important, because
especially now, it's very important, yeah.
It moves us, it makes us think, we feel deeper, and then, I can watch something, look at something, hear some music, and why is like Chopin, like all these people, like so many years later, we listen to their music, and it just moves us so much, because
human connection.
Yeah, and we put the meaning behind it. So I think it's really important what you did, and
thank you.
I'm excited to see what you're going to do next, because I'm sure a lot of people must be asking you, what's next, Catherine?
Yeah, I'm just resting on my laurels right now, but
I know your exhibit was just last month, and you've sold quite a few pieces. But I think it's really, really fantastic. I'm also curious about what's going on here.
About the bed?
Yes.
Well, my paintings in the exhibit were representing the social media of the tradwife. So the paintings were the social media, and my sculptures were what really was happening. So when people saw the paintings, they saw the paintings first started off, she was really like trying to be the tradwife. And then you can see in my paintings now, she kind of just slowly has a lot of self-talk and becomes a self-awareness, and suddenly realizes that sort of the error of her ways, and how being a tradwife isn't exactly the way she should go. So this one was probably halfway through the social media, and she's left her bed unmade, which is not what you do if you're a tradwife. you don't put a picture of your bed unmade on, it would look like you'd have a picture of a beautiful bed.
Immaculate.
Yeah. So she's forgetting to make her bed. So this is the first sign that she's sort of unraveling and getting rid of the trad wife aesthetic. And she's having some realizations about what she has done, how she has sort of embraced the trad wife trad wife ideals, and then she goes to regret it, because by the end of the exhibit, she's retired, and her husband's left her. It's a story.
Yeah.
But because there are no laws protecting her, she's left pensionless, and all she has left are her. I have this little, on China, I have food made out of buttons, a little meal made of buttons. You'll see it, it's kind of cute. And she's just sitting at this little table alone, and her meal is buttons in China, because she's given up all her earning years to raise children, because trad wives are stay-at-home moms, right? But then it's too late. She's given up her rights. So that's the cautionary tale: is don't give up your rights. You can be a domestic goddess if you want. I don't care, but don't do it with. You don't have to give up your rights to do that.
Don't give up your power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just no reason to be subservient to men. It's crazy to even hear me say that. But there are still, look at the United States, where women no longer are in control of their own bodies. If you put a man in a place, like if I said to you, did you know that in the 60s, men couldn't get credit cards? Like, I say, let's think of, I don't even, it just seems bizarre that if you change it to a man and the laws, it just seems crazy. But we didn't accept it because we fought for it, fought for our rights. But okay, now I don't know what I was saying.
No. I hear what you're saying, and I hear your passion. I hear what you're saying, and I feel like it's very close to also what I believe in. And, and also I think that us as women, because another statistic that came up is that now more than ever, women over the age of 30 are single and childless. And they're expecting that the statistics, by 2035, it's going to be like a majority of women, 35 to 45, who are single and childless.
Yes.
And which is very alarming. But what is interesting is because in today's day and age, women are more successful than men.
They own more homes?
Yes, they earn more. They're more educated than men. They're certainly driven, and they're not having to rely on them to be in these relationships where they're subservient to them. So now it's making the men question,
what's their role?
Yes. And where do I meet her? Like, so then on the flip side is, just based on what I'm seeing and hearing, is that a lot of men are just choosing to stay at home, not date.
They're isolated and lonely.
Yes.
And that's a dangerous place for young men.
And they're only doing things online and playing a lot of video games and, all that kind of stuff. And don't want to fully get into it. But, it's so interesting and fascinating that instead of this, like, we have social media, which I love and we're very grateful for. But when it comes to like real connections, it's really fascinating, because I know so many women in Vancouver who are like smart, beautiful, driven, successful, and they're single.
Yeah, because why would you choose to be in a partnership with somebody that isn't equal, right?
Yeah.
I think because men have had the power for so long that when they feel like they have to have some of their power taken away, they feel like they have less. But it's almost like men have had the whole birthday cake, or the whole cake, for as long as our society exists. And now women are saying, oh, well, actually, we're going to share that. Let's both be happy and share that. And men are like, but I only get half a cake.
Yes.
No, you're sharing. Like, it's just the idea that they're losing something by women getting rights is ridiculous, because they're not losing. They are, well, but is that a position you want to be in as a man? Do you want to have your partner as not equal? It just, why would you want that? I don't understand it.
Well, I'm excited to see what you're going to do with your next exhibit.
Well, now I have ideas, hair.
Wonderful, wonderful. I feel like when it comes to beauty and like the male gaze and all of that, and I think like, you know, we were talking about Pamela Anderson, and there's so many women who are also choosing to wear their hair gray, silver, whatever you want to call it. I have a girlfriend I was talking to, she's a filmmaker, very, very talented, relocated to Germany. She was saying that, you know, within the next, I think it's in the next 3 weeks or 6 weeks, she's stripping all of her hair of color, and she's going to allow her hair to be naturally gray, silver.
I'm not that brave yet, but okay.
But you know, but I think sometimes those things we need to experiment with to be like, And that's what made me go when I did my pixie cuts too. And that's what made me go when I chopped off my hair, is I'm like, this is an experiment.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, really.
Yeah, completely. Catherine, it's been so lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. I just thank you for welcoming me in your home and for this wonderful conversation. And I'm excited to see the rest of your art.
I can't wait to show you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for
You're very welcome.
All your support and, you know, introducing me to so many folks in Terrace. And I'm excited to actually swing by the gallery as well and take a look. And thank you all for watching and for tuning in. We'll make sure to share. Catherine, you have social media, website, anywhere?
Yeah, I have a website and I have Instagram and Facebook.
Wonderful. So we'll share Catherine's information so you can get in touch with her if you choose to. Until next time, I'm your host, Zara Durrani, and this is On Location in Terrace, produced with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE.